first one then, a weakness of Milgram's research is that participants' behaviour might not have been true. This is because the same participants appear to have realised it was fake. So this is a weakness because if the participants realised the study was fake, they might show demand characteristics, which all that means is just you change your behaviour based on what you think the researcher may want. So if they're testing obedience, then you might have demand characteristics where you're more obedient than what you usually would be. So it means the results aren't accurate and would lack validity, but lack truthfulness. So some of them were quite astute, and they realised based on the setup that it might, not be what it seems, might not have been a genuine memory study. And then Milgram did do an interview with his participants afterwards, and some people did say that they thought it was fake. So if they thought it was fake, they might not have been too concerned to carry on flicking the switches all the way up to the top 450. Because they knew they weren't hurting the learner. And if that's the case, then more people might have been obedient than what should have been, because they knew they weren't hurting the learner, so it lacks that validity. Next one. A weakness of Milgram's research is that he did not use a representative sample. This is because he only used male participants. This is a weakness because, as I kind of alluded to earlier, we can't generalise findings to females in particular. We can't say if females would have reacted in the same way, would they have been more or less obedient. So if you can remember that key term, it means the sample is androcentric, it's all males. And also they didn't use a cultural variation of cultural backgrounds. It was just white Americans. So what about African Americans, or using people from Europe or in Asia or in Africa? We don't know if they would have been more or less obedient. The next one, a weakness of Milgram's research is that it broke several ethical guidelines. For example, participants were deceived and many suffered severe psychological and physical harm. This is a weakness because, and you'll do a little bit more of this when you do your research methods topic, and you do a lesson on ethics. There was a lot of harm caused to participants. You always have to allow them to essentially leave the study as they were before they actually took part. There was a lot of mental and physical distress, the trembling, the sweating, the guilt, the fear that they've actually killed somebody. So that has caused a lot of harm. Also, they were deceived. They said it was a memory study rather than an obedience study. If you want to talk about other ethics, you could talk about how they had a lack of a right to withdraw and they don't want to take part anymore, partly because they were paid, so they thought they had to carry on anyway. But also the prods, if you remember, used by the experimenter, he was saying things like the experiment requires you to continue. So he's kind of removing the ability to withdraw from them. And lastly, a strength of Milgram's research, it has been replicated and similar results have been found. For example, researchers have found that the majority of people gave a fatal shock to a puppy when they were asked to do so. So this is a strength because research has been replicated that found similar results, so it's shown this consistency, this reliability. So they have managed to get around and sort out a few of the ethical issues, and they've gained ethical approval, because obviously they're probably not giving genuine shocks to a puppy, but they have still found similar results.